like GK and Bunti, you can just go to the toilet poop for 1 hour. You're basically getting paid for 1 hour.
One last thing. So if you listen to the episode this far and you haven't clicked on the like button, you happy can already lah.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Backholder Pod. So in this special episode, we are going to talk slightly different. I think we are not really venturing into the political space, but more so discussing about Singapore's future in general. So as you guys have followed, or if you guys don't know, we have a new change of command. Basically, PM Lawrence Wong took over the baton from PM Lee, and he has basically been on a whole journey of trying to rewrite Singapore's future ahead, trying to plan with a Forward Singapore movement. And just recently, I think he dropped on YouTube about this idea of what does success actually mean in Singapore. So if I can just provide you with a very quick summary, essentially speaking, I think he's saying that through our transition from a third world to a first world over the last, I guess, the early 30, 40 years of Singapore, we have attached a lot of meaning and prestige in some of these very respectable jobs. And he hoped that moving forward, as time progresses, everyone can kind of find meaning and fulfillment in what we do. And we try to relax, not focus too much about some of these titles, and more so trying to embrace what is the new form or this new idea of what success means. And when he was sharing his own story, he said that he actually came from a neighborhood school, and when he did his uni, he was actually in just a state uni in US and not your usual Cambridge, Oxford, MIT or those top tier universities. And basically, he still managed to climb up to the top office of the country. So I think I just wanted to expand this discussion and maybe get your own thoughts about it before we go into something much more juicier, which is a Reddit thread. And there are a lot of very interesting comments which we will expound later on. But before that, I think maybe I'll just pass the time over to Kelvin on what's your thoughts on this whole idea of trying to embrace a broader definition of success in Singapore's next chapter.
So I think for Singapore, the earlier definition of success is these 5 C's, right? Cash, car, credit card, condo, country club. Cash, okay, everyone has cash. In fact, I think it's easier to earn cash now. So because of all these brokers, you can invest a lot easier as compared to last time. So for example, last time you invest, you straight away lose $20, $25 when you invest through the bank. So when you buy and sell, you straight away lose $50. As compared to now it's like some brokers let you invest less than even $1. So it's definitely, cash is not hard really. Like then there's a lot more avenues to earn cash basically. Then for car, I would say it's also quite affordable. It's not because there's something as loan. you just take a loan, straight away can buy a car already. But whether you can afford to pay the loan is another thing lah. Credit card, basically everyone can apply. There's nothing to say about that. For condo, I think this number has also jumped up. So the number of the percentage of HDB dwellers have dropped. I think from like 90% to like 80%. Then the rest are like condo dwellers. So condo has also become a lot easier to achieve. But I would say this gap between HDB and condo is increasing lah. So the longer you wait to upgrade your HDB to condo, the harder it will be lah. But I wouldn't say you are staying in the condo equals prestige lah. Even for people like Mr. Lu, Eric, they stay in HDB. Hey, not an issue. Right, Eric. Then for country club, I think none of us are interested in country club. To me, we have better things to do than play golf. Yeah, country club stuff. Yeah, so long story short, I think this 5 C's is no longer that relevant in the Singapore context right now. But then what is relevant then? For me, I feel that what's more important is maybe to keep your sanity in this whole journey to chase wealth. So I was asking people at the MoveFest yesterday. A lot of them say, rather than chasing wealth, I prefer to have a happy family, to have a healthier life, to live a longer life, that kind of thing, and not to stress about money that much. So yeah, it has changed from like materialistic stuff to more psychological stuff. Yeah, in that sense. Yeah, Bunti, do you agree?
So are you in that same camp? So Kelvin, as in personally, you are currently in the same camp?
Okay,
you're not chasing.
Okay, I'm not chasing that 5 C's. Maybe it's just the cash the rest not important to me. The reason is because in order to not worry about money, I need to have enough money. child isn't cheap. I go to one hospital, private hospital, give birth to one child. Not me, not I give birth, but my wife give birth to one child. Straight away, the 10K, charging, it goes out of my bank account. That a bit from CPF also. But without this cash, I think you will have a lot less choices in life. Like, so if I got accident, I can only go to public hospital versus if I got cash, if I got insurance, then I can go to a private hospital. Then if some parents, they got like 5-6 kids and 12K in earnings, the 5-6 kids are going to drain away all his savings. So the money is definitely important lah. So right now I'm still chasing that. Once I reach that, I guess I will be happier. I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong way to think about it.
You talked about mental health just now, right? So currently, are you like in a way? I guess it's a trade-off. But are you trading a lot of your mental health away in the pursuit of trying to get more money?
I would say yes, but this is expected if you are running a business, right? Like for Chicken, Chicken and Bunty, you can just go to the toilet poop for 1 hour. You're basically getting paid for 1 hour. But if I go and poop for 1 hour, or I clean my kids' poop for 1 hour, maybe not that long. That means a loss of income for 1 hour. So yeah, the mental health will of course be affected a bit. This one I don't know about Eric. Yeah.
So Eric, what's your idea of this new definition of success and how you look at this whole phenomenon?
Mental health, is it? Are you referring to the mental health?
I think going back first to your reaction to our new PMs charting us forward.
Like other ways we define success.
Right.
I still think I'm a bit old school. Like similar to Kelvin, I still think like whatever it is, having a little bit of cash will help you tide you through some tight spots. Yeah. So being in enough situation where you don't have enough cash, then you feel like you're quite stuck. Of course, that some people say that you can train you to be more resourceful. If you don't have the cash, you can think of creative solutions to situations. But I don't know, like there are some things that like having cash would really help quite a bit. Yeah, so I'm a bit old school in that. I'm not so
if I can pin you to something, I think in a way you still think that I think the definition of success is still largely a monetary kind of competition, right?
Something like that, but I think the other C's are not really very like super duper crucial to everyone. So yeah, but I think the cash part might be quite important. I mean, just the basic things are like I think insurance is getting more and more expensive. So if we like don't really have money to buy insurance, that could be quite risky also, I feel. Yeah.
Okay, Bunty.
I think these 5C things, right? I quite agree with Kelvin that these things has become irrelevant. And the 5C basically is referring to the material indicators of success. I think it's not so much about like whether to you cash is important or not. It's more like these are the 5 metrics that people use to kind of like measure someone's success or not. Okay. Say for example, I compare myself with Kelvin. We are similar age, right? So I can't ask about his net worth, right? I mean, last time now, okay? So how do I see myself as more successful? Oh, if I'm staying in condo and he's not, then I'm more successful. I think this is the whole thing is all about the comparison part. And then when it comes to this new video released by PM Lawrence Wong, I think the difficult part to transitions from this 5C to the new one is that the 5Cs, right, although they are not really, reflective of the wealth or reflective of someone's whether it's successful or not, but at least it is very clear. Like if you ask me, do I have a car? The answer is no. There's no interpretations one. Yes or no, The answer is no. Do I have a country club? No. Condo? No. So it's like, okay, you didn't score that, then you didn't score that. Do you care about it or not? That's a different story, right? But it's very clear. The one that he wants us to transition to is a bit abstract, which after I watched that video, after a few days, I can't remember what he said actually. That's the problem that I have with these new definitions of success. Maybe later we can discuss about the new definition also.
Actually, I do share similar thoughts with Bunty, and I did share in the group that after I watched the video, it feels very inspirational, very exciting. But then if you really dig deeper into the underlying message, right, there was nothing there was tangible that you could take away from. Anyway, because it's very abstract, and I think we are already in a society where there's a lot of preconceived idea. So I think he took the example of during the pandemic. He said that there were many unsung heroes, the nurses, the chiropractors, or whoever, those that are in the nursing line. But I think regardless of how hard they have worked, etc., I think even if you go back to Chinese New Year gatherings and then you tell your relative that, hey, I'm studying medicine today, versus you tell them that I'm studying nursing today, there is still that. You can't shake off that feeling or that vibe when everybody acknowledges the fact that, oh, this particular nephew or niece, they're currently studying law or studying medicine, and there's a certain title or certain prestige to them, versus somebody that, let's say, I don't know, studying some not so popular kind of things. And why? The disparity is very simple. They probably just judge based on the wealth effect, meaning how much money they can potentially earn after they graduate. And this a person that is studying medicine probably has much higher earning capacity over the long run compared to somebody that is just doing a normal degree or studying something not so popular.
Yeah, I think this one I have to disagree a bit. So this thinking that doctors and lawyers are earning more is more of the older generation. So from what I noticed, the younger generation actually don't really care about doctors and lawyers kind of career already. Instead, more of them are more interested in, let's say, programming, but still that's a bit more traditional. And a lot more are looking towards doing like influencer career kind of thing.
YouTuber.
Not maybe YouTuber, but also like TikTok, Instagrammer. In fact, I think there's some reports showing that that Gen Zs, right, are earning, who are doing all this influencer thing, right, are earning more money than doctors. And as doctor, you are actually putting in a lot of work, but not so much payback, especially at the start. Yeah. So I think times have changed. So doctors are not so reputable nowadays also.
But so I think then we have to go back to who's the core audience of who PM is talking to, right? But we cannot discount the fact that even though, I mean, Singapore do have, I guess, inverting pyramid. So actually, the older folks are still the large part that is carrying the voting population. I think a lot of this discussion today about redefining success, talking about mental health, right? It's a very Gen Z, Gen Alpha kind of thing, which is the newer folks. They want politics to do more. They want the government to do more. But they are paving the way for future generations because they need their votes. But I think currently, when we talk about the real world, a lot of people are still not there yet. And that's why you need to kind of balance the approach and balance how forceful the government can be in terms of the policy execution, and when they say that they really care about mental health, how much do they care? Are they implementing policies to workplaces? Are they talking about compulsory leaves or whatever it is? But yeah, those are just a range of topics that we're talking about. But anyway, I think we did deviate a little bit off. So let's go back down to redefining success. If today, I think Bunty, if you are placed in that position, just now you were talking about redefining success, how would you redefine it? Or do you think that the current measure, which is the old school way of thinking, which is using wealth or using money, is that still a good way? Or do you think we should relook into how we should do this?
Yeah, I think this one is not so much about showing what you have to other people. It's more like looking inward, because you don't need a lot to be happy. And even if you have a lot, doesn't mean you will be happy, right? So I think this one is the attitude that we have will play a big role. So say, for example, let's say you all think that, we should judge someone whether the person is staying in condo or not. So I think it requires someone to stay in HDB and say, I don't care about those things, right? And you think that, I'm staying at HDB, or even I'm renting a place, I'm happy. So you just need to have enough people to say, okay, I don't give a damn about all these, definitions of other people's, right? The framing of other people's. I just want to live my life happily. If we have enough people behaving like this, you don't care about the metrics that people impose on you, then you are fine, right? So I think it's all about looking inward rather than, showing to the outside people.
But Bunty, when you see other people, let's say Chicken went to Japan recently, right? You see him post on Instagram, you see him eat nice food, hang out with a cute girlfriend. do you feel want to compare, hey, I'm working, this guy is having fun.
No, why? I've seen all these posts all the time, but why I will ask, like, I want to propose anything, so I will just ask, like, but I won't, like, envy, because if I want to go there, I will just go, right? So,
But you can't, right? You can't. You got 2 kids tying you down. You can't just go like that.
Yeah, just went Japan last year. The kids definitely not tying just go together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gunti is achieve the next stage already.
No. What I'm saying is not like whether I can afford or not. I think that's not the important thing. The important thing is that other people lives other people's life, right? That's fine. You should be happy for them, right? You shouldn't do the comparison. The more comparison that you make, right, the harder your life become. For example, like I just shared, like, one of the YouTuber that shared his portfolio 400K at 26 years old. I'm sharing that. I was saying, wow, that's impressive, just as a statement, right? But maybe some people will look at it and say, oh, someone else actually earn more. So that's when comparison will come in, right? So, and that comparison, if you compare another person A versus another person B, that's fine. But if you compare against yourself, right? Okay, that's when you start to make your life miserable. So I think that one need to be careful. Yeah. Need to take good care of your own mental health.
Eric, you're smiling. You think
imagining? No, I was just imagining what Kelvin's reaction to that would be.
What do you
like
mean?
Puti was saying, like, if you compare to yourself, then you feel very you feel very bad. I was just thinking, what would Kelvin say?
What I say?
Oh my, I better not say it. Your face.
No, I mean, it's like for me, sometimes I will see other people, like, okay, maybe not cheating, like some people they keep traveling every other month. Then I'm thinking, like, wow, you don't need to work. Then, like, maybe like Eric, if Eric, maybe not this Eric, the other Eric Chiu, he's buying the condo, he has multiple properties. They're like, wow, not even condo, he's living in the landed property already, and he's going to upgrade his landed property even bigger. So I'm thinking, like, wow. So I can't help but, like, compare lah. Obviously, I won't, like, go, like, maybe if I had this kind of life, I won't go that far. I would just, like, wow, he had this kind of life. There's a bit of envy lah. This one, I can't deny it, but I won't go like I'm just a failure, because I have to admit that I'm already in a privileged position. First of all, I'm in Singapore. This is I would say it's almost a miracle that Singapore exists. That you see every other country surrounding Singapore, right? There's none of them that achieve Singapore's kind of success. Yeah, so Singapore, first of all, anyone who lives in Singapore, I would say you are definitely struck the lottery already in terms of your spawn location. Then some people will disagree. They say, oh yeah, the government is bad, they're taking our money and that kind of thing. But you try living in other places, the government here is not actively trying to sabo you. You stay in other countries, the government may be trying to actively sabotaging you. So that's the biggest difference. Then I think there's a lot more opportunities here. So it's, on one hand, I feel a bit of envy. On the other hand, I know what I have. So I don't feel that imbalance in myself. Yeah.
Actually, thanks, Kelvin, for sharing. But I wanted to ask Eric, right? Do you think this whole redefining success conversation is a waste of time? Because a lot of this emphasis on trying to find new ways, talking about fulfillment, talking about pulling us away from prestige. But like you said, at the end of the day, money do bring in a lot of convenience, and you can't escape from the reality. You want to travel, you also need money. You want to have kids, you also need money. And even you can reject the entire notion of staying in condo or what, you'll still need money or wealth in general to live a decent life. So, yeah, do you think it's a waste of time?
Actually, I don't think it's a waste of time. I try to think of it like from a very macro point of view. If you are the PM, what would you want, right? You want the greatest good for your country, because you're putting yourself out there. Of course, you're earning millions. Some people will be like, well, earning millions already, can talk all this BS and all that. But I don't really think so, because there are professions, right, where he can probably earn more, like in private. Like, he doesn't have to put himself and his whole family up for scrutiny. But he chose to serve, and I quite respect him for that, because he doesn't need to. He doesn't belong to the, the so-called Lee dynasty, where it's like a sort of like a little bit of like, oh, my dad was the founding PM, so most likely I feel obligated to carry on his good work. So Lawrence Wong doesn't really have that kind of mandate, I would say, but he chose to take it up. And I'm just thinking, if in his shoes, right, how would I pursue the greatest good for my country, right? So the first thing is like we just want to make sure that Singapore hums along well, because the birth rate is like really very bad. I think it's 0.9 or something like that. Yeah, it's replacement is 2.1, right? Whereas like below 1 is like really bad. So we have to import like how many? 70,000 people per year. If I don't remember the statistic wrongly, right? I think we grow by 1,000 new citizens a year, of which 70 like immigrants. Only 30K is from our own people. I don't know is that like verified or not. I heard it on like one of the podcasts or something. So this is definitely not a good thing for us lah, because our own people are not reproducing. Yeah, I mean even Bunti and Kelvin, they are helping, but they also came from Malaysia. I mean they come here and they help to reproduce, and people like Chiking thinking of maybe not helping. So myself also not helping that much. So anyway, back to the point. Like I think like, so what is the best thing you can do for your people is to make sure that the country continue to prosper, hum along, because only when you have resources, then you can help the poor, you can help the less privileged. If you don't know resources, right, like everyone just hug and die together, lor. Like we can't have that happen, right? So as a country, we need to embrace the globalization. We need to make sure that our country is progressing and all that. Then on the other hand, you also need to like comfort those people who felt left behind. Like how do you comfort them? Like you can't be telling them, "No, you're the poor, you're the needy, you cannot make it, law. You don't know how to study, then you also like you don't really earn a lot and all that." I don't think you want to say that kind of thing to your citizens, right? So what's the next best thing?
You redefine.
Like redefine and reframe the whole thing, because I think, because for good or for bad, right, in Singapore, the narrative is kind of a little bit controlled environment. Yeah, I personally feel that is both a good thing and a not so good thing, in a sense that we are being nannied, in a sense, like we are not trusted to think independently. But I don't know, it depends on what you all think about it. But for me, I think reframing the thing allows people to have what's the word for it? To feel more balanced, in a sense. Because if you're only having one focus, right, like, oh, I must have a $2 million portfolio, then if you don't have it, then what am I? A failure? No? Then how will you feel? Not good, right? If you don't feel good, then you will not vote rationally. I don't know, that maybe I'm a bit thinking like, okay, so how do you make sure that your citizens are happy, even though they are not like quote rich and successful or whatever not? So you can say that everyone have their own path, lor. Like a fish, you cannot say that, oh, you don't know how to climb trees. So you reframe it. You're a fish, so you shouldn't know how to climb a tree. So just swim. You're meant to be at sea level. So I think that is nothing wrong with that, lah. But I confirm there are people that are very skeptical of it. What do you think yourself as a young Singaporean?
Want to let Bunti got something to chime in first?
Okay.
No, I'm not so relevant. But basically, he's asking people to be less materialistic, right? Yeah, in order to be happy, yeah, sometimes the materialistics get in the way, lah. That's what I feel, because I don't think this message is really like telling those that are less successful that you are okay. I don't think that's the case there. Sometimes I feel that he's basically telling people that actually you are doing fine, you are doing well, the country is rich. I mean, from materialistic point of view, we are all fine. But this big group of people that, I mean, those that are even doing well, right? But they are not feeling happy. Because why? Because they compare too much. That's what I feel when he addressed that. So I think it's like try to shape people from materialistic towards more, like focus more on experience, focus more on yourself, focus on your mental health, things like that.
So
that's my interpretation.
Do you think it will be effective just by?
I think this one, it can be. It's not like government say, oh, you should think like this, then you think like this. It's not like that one. It's more like, okay, let's focus, let's like promote this kind of thinking as someone who try to push a bit, but I think everyone have to do their part.
Yeah, I think it's a very long, it's already a very deep-seated thought. I think from education, from when you are birthed out, people want to fight of going into private kindergarten compared to the MOE one, compared to the PAP Sparkle Thoughts one. The competition starts there, and then you 12 years old, you throw everybody into PSLE, and then you go into streaming, and then you go through the different streaming system again, then go O-level finish already, you go poly, ITE or A-levels, and then you go into uni again. So it's a tradition that has already been baked into the entire psyche of traditional Singaporeans. So I find it quite hard. Is it a policy mismatch? I don't know, but I think that at least in the foreseeable future, I don't think this narrative of comparison and having competition amongst its people will stop. And actually, it's vital for Singapore to stay competitive. And I'm more afraid, at least in the long term, is that if everybody in China, you start to see people who are really so competitive, right? Then all bailan, all tangping, right? Then you basically swing the pendulum to the other extreme, meaning extremely competitive, and then more and more people start to reject the notion and honestly just don't give a F already, and then they just swing to the other side. I think that is also equally unproductive on the economy in general. So that's just my thoughts on that. I don't know how it will work, but I still feel that as a bunch, we will probably stay on course, and the political leadership now is just trying to push. They try to push, see whether you will react or not. But I don't know how effective it will be. But I think back to what Eric was talking about how a young person is looking at it. I can't explain or I can't talk about for the whole young population, but I think I had an interesting thought when I saw Lawrence coming up. So other than the passing of political leadership because of your father, right? I think I went to check back his why Lawrence Wong started, why PM Wong was talking about it in this perspective, right? And then I went to do some background research. So it's on Wikipedia. I presume it's correct. When you look at his background, right, actually it's not the traditional, what you would expect of the PAP elite. So the PAP elite comes from either Oxbridge, Raffles, Hwa Chong, basically your typical elite path. But actually Lawrence, like he said in his YouTube video, right, he came from a neighborhood school, even though he went through JC, yes, but he was from Victoria. So I'm not too sure whether Victoria is one of the top, but I think it's the top few, but not necessarily like national, because PM Lee was from national, and then the rest of his cabinet are probably all from Raffles.
So from his time in the school, right, he's a bit older than me. When VJ first came out, he's straight away shot to the third position, behind RI and Hwa Chong.
But last time, how many JC? A few only, right? There was not even 10, right?
Maybe about, I don't know,
6,
around
8.
No lah, not so little. Maybe 12.
Got 12.
But top 3
is top 3.
It's not considered like bad lah. It's not considered average. VJ is considered the top in the East.
Okay. So, but anyway, so he's not typically my idea, at least in my imprinted in my brain now, is that I only recognize 2 top junior colleges, which is RI and Hwa Chong. And when he even though he's a scholar, because he was a public servant by nature, he started off as a public servant. He got a PSC scholarship, which is one of the top tier scholarships, but he didn't go the typical Oxbridge as well. So that's why I guess in a way, right, a lot of times there are a lot of unspoken rules. There are like glass ceilings, So like in the US political atmosphere, you suddenly had a black guy that went to become president, and then you have a female black president, a vice president. I start to talk like Joe Biden. But anyway, when we look at this kind of things, right, you start to imprint in yourself that things are start to get more possible. Like you give hope to other people that you don't necessarily need to go through this path, then you can get into this particular position. That said, I think there is a caveat here, is that actually before PM Wong comes in, actually Heng Swee Keat was the one that's slated to go in, and then they did a hot swap to PM Wong. So if you go and check Heng Swee Keat, actually he is part of the political elite that went to Raffles and completed his education in Oxbridge, or I'm not too sure which one it is, but yeah, the typical British route. So then I guess it's kind of a breaking of the glass ceiling. Maybe next time we might have a female PM. I don't know whether Singapore is ready yet, but I guess it takes one step at a time for people to really redefine that level of success. But I think as a young folk now, especially if you do travel to less developed countries, you are probably aware how fortunate you are, especially in this new agenda or this new world, right? Like you're fortunate because whether is it from a geographical perspective, from a knowledge perspective, and even like from a times perspective where you have social media, and then everybody can kind of earn money from the internet. So that's why I think there's not much to complain. But I think this comparison thing, it's embedded since young. So it's something very hard for us to kind of break free just by a YouTube video, or even if they start chanting this thing for the next 5 to 10 years, I don't think it will be effective, but we will see how it goes. But then I think I wanted to go to the second segment, which is the Reddit post, right? There was a few interesting comments, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. So maybe direct it to Kelvin. So there's this guy called Kopi_Siu Tai. He said that, PAP, please walk the talk. Downgrade your house, take MRT, eat at coffee shop, send your kids to neighborhood schools, go to government hospitals, and wait the whole day for a bed and wait for a few months for a test, just like us normies. A second comment, I think in a similar train of thought, is that I think pertinent to what Kelvin said about the 5 Cs as well. So this user called you in TPT, he said that what he's really saying is that the 5 Cs are now solidly out of our reach. So please find other ways to be happy and continue working for our GDP, okay? So maybe I just specifically to these 2 comments, right? I just wanted to see what Kelvin, what's your thoughts on that?
Wow, chicken setting up traps all around. What do I think? I think, okay, if you have that kind of income, there's no way you're going to a normal polyclinic, right? So, but I do understand what they are trying to say here, what the Redditors are trying to say. They say, oh, you are telling us to be contented with life. Why don't you go and downgrade your house and try to live our life and see how content you are? So I don't know. I think life is unfair, right? You can't just ask like people like PM Lee to downgrade to stay back in HDB just to live your life. But I think,
fun fact, by the way, I think our previous president, Madam Halimah, right? I think she stays in the HDB, if I'm not wrong.
yeah. So that's the other thing also. I don't know what's the obsession with Singaporean about this whole property game. For me and Bunti, we have been living landed our whole life before we come to Singapore. It's never been an issue, right? So in a way, coming to Singapore is considered a downgrade if you think of it in that sense, which I personally don't. HDB is way more expensive than landed in Malaysia. Malaysia, I still can plant stuff. Singapore, I can't. I go there, plant stuff. Later, the town council go and plug off my plant also. So, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is that nobody owes anybody a living, especially if you think in Singapore. At least the government, like I said just now, at least the government is trying to help. They give all those CDC voucher. Oh, there's another $300 coming in. They go and rebate your electricity bill. They are trying to help you. Like I said, they are not actively trying to sabotaging you. And at least the path to your success is wide open. It's not blocked for you. Unlike like some places, okay, for Malaysia, there's the quota thing. You go and take a loan in Malaysia. If you're not of some race, you have to pay a higher interest. Okay, maybe car in Singapore is expensive, but are you going to get a car and go and jam out the whole Singapore? There'll be a lose-lose for everyone, right? So, yeah, so I think the message I'm saying is like no one owes anyone a living. If you want to be successful, it's up to you to do your own hard work Like let's say if the government go and stay in HDB, what is that going to help you? It's not it's not even in the slightest. Like maybe you're going to see your longest one staying beside you. That's all.
But maybe the feeling is more of they can't really feel the sincerity. Like they talk about being in your ivory towers, you don't know how the common man feels, etc. I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to speculate here.
I think you can't see the sincerity because you're not in their shoes. Like let's say people like to say, who's that a PM? What, you stay in HDB, you don't need a big space to make...
Josephine Teo.
Yeah. So if you ever try to be a politician, you know how exposed your life is. Even for me, I don't really expose my life, but I go to UN, people recognize me and say, oh, Kevin, can I take a photo? I feel a bit, why I'm not even a celebrity, like why are you want to take photo with me? Like, then I can't imagine them exposing every part of their life, like who is that, the read out road kind of thing, or they rent out their house. Everything has to be scrutinized, right? You go and accept a soccer ticket, oh, straight away off to jail. That kind of. So yeah, if you admit that life, why don't you go and try living that life and see lah, right? I think everyone, okay, this may be a bit controversial. Everyone deserves the life that they are currently living in. So if you want to be jealous of everyone, that's your jealous life. If you want to be as successful as Eric, why don't you go and start a tuition center and start teaching tuition? Why are you complaining about all this kind of thing? So like for me, obviously I did YouTube. I work 16 hours a day, 80 hours a week, or even sometimes 100. So that's the life that I got. My mental health burned out, but in return I got a bit of a success law. So it's even I don't know. To me, that's the life that I have chosen. So if you choose a life of poverty, then be prepared to accept it, accept the whatever consequence that comes after you. If you want to play lottery, you will go and either you win big or you lose everything. So that's what you choose. You will reap what you sow.
Punti, any thoughts? I know Kelvin has very skillfully sidestepped the question, but yeah, Punti, got any thoughts on the Redditors' comments?
Wow, so one to threat two person. No, I'll say what's the first question? The first question was saying that okay, we need to accept that we walk the talk first. Okay.
Yes.
I think this one I won't respond to that because I think it's really attack on the persons because this entire message, right, is not about Wong. Anyone who said that, right, it's not about the person who is saying that. It's more about like what, in aggregate, right, everyone Singaporeans, right, that you need to change your ways of thinking or your culture and so on. So this is all about the people's. It's not about who say that. You can change someone else who give the same talk also. We can have this discussion. So don't attack the person who say that now. So that's easier. I will just put it that way. The second one is asking about what we need to accept that we can't reach that level, right? That kind of things,
actually,
right?
that comment, right? I always thought so. To me, honestly, you ask me. I think Singaporean as a bunch, right? Because we are very educated. And when I see some of these comments, whether it's on TikTok, on Reddit, right, especially on Singapore Post, and you can tell obviously that this is a Singaporean, right?
Yeah.
I do acknowledge that some of them are really very witty. Like the things that they say I find it funny. Yet at the same time, maybe there is a certain element of truth, and there is I don't know how to explain it. It's just I find it. I'm quite amused by it, But I think back to your point, right? The comment was that since you are what he's basically paraphrasing what PM Wong is saying is that the idea that now because it's so out of touch, out of your reach, even you work for your entire life, maybe you can't even afford a condo, so you just find some other ways to be happy and you can redefine however you want to about success and happiness and whatnot, but at the end of the day still make sure remember to contribute to our GDP. So that's generally the idea.
I think it's true that I how to say it? I wouldn't say that. I think that if you think from the person's the Redditor point of view, right, it's really like he's still stuck with the notion that you need to be rich in order to be happy. So and this entire message is try to bring you away from that thinking that actually you can be successful and you can be living a fulfilled life, and yet you don't fulfill the 5C things. So that's the key message. I think. Yeah, he can't get away from that, I think.
Yeah,
just
correct.
From that post.
Because that post itself was the most upvoted one, like that the out of reach and just being happy. So Eric, any comments on the last one? On maybe you just round up this entire discussion on your thoughts on this.
Round up, I think what Kelvin just said earlier, everyone deserves the life that they have, right? No, I don't want to say it. I was replying to Kelvin. So I think that's quite true in a sense, but we also got to acknowledge that there are people who will try very, very hard, super hard, like they will give 100%. They also work 16 hours day, 100-hour week, and they really can't even achieve a fraction of Kelvin's success. Maybe they have like 1,000 subscribers. That's it. Like literally 1% of his success. So how? You cannot say that for the lack of effort.
It is for the lack of effort. This is what I have to say. It is for the lack of effort. You are not trying hard enough. So I've seen YouTubers, I think Bunny have shared some guy who upload one video a week, one video a day for like 2-3 years. He's still stuck at under 1,000 subscribers. And when I compare his first video to his current video, which is about 2-3 years later, it is still the exact same kind of video, the same lousy thumbnail, same lousy quality, same lousy presentation skill. So like you can put in all the effort you want, but if you are still like walking in the same direction, which is not confirmed to be successful, why are you still doing it 2-3 years later. So it's basically like studying lah. If you study, you need to be smart about it ma. You don't think it works, then you better go and turn into another direction. Then why you after 2-3 years? So
I think
yeah.
Hey Kevin, this sorry, I interrupt you a bit because you brought up a very important point, which I think is very pertinent for not just students, for adults also. I think it's very important that we have a very good feedback loop for our life. Like basically whatever things that you're trying to do, put in effort to do, give it a reasonable amount of time. Let's say 1 month or 3 months or half a year, 1 year, whatever. But have some feedback loop, so that you know how you're doing, is your method working and all that. So it can be studies, it can be YouTube, it can be anything like your work. Like how do you know you're making progress? You need to know. If not, you'll be like that guy, like one video every day for 3 years and still stuck in the same position because you never feedback, don't get the feedback, and then you don't improve, and then that's a dead end. No? So I think I really wanted to tell everyone that a feedback loop is very, very important, and people around you that will call you out, like they will literally tell you, hey, you're doing like that, you think you want to continue doing like that? This is what you're doing, this is the result you're getting. I don't know, you want to try something different? Yeah, so I think it's very important to have people around you that will give you some good counsel. Yeah, so it's important to hang out with people like Kelvin. So they'll tell you like, hey, you suck. Then you're like, oh, really? Yeah, your thumbnail is so bad. Then okay lah. Then at least you know, right? You can work on it. If not, you'll be like doing it like for 5 years and like, this YouTube is all BS. It's not, right? It's basically how you go about it. Yeah. So sorry, Kelvin. Back to you.
I mean that's the truth lah. That there's nothing. If you find the truth to be hard, then stay where you are. I don't know how to like continue.
No, but people can tell you that, like, I don't know who that person you're talking about, but I can bounce back and say that, no lah, I'll redefine my success and say that because I like sharing, I don't have an ultimate goal of building an audience or earning money from YouTube. So I'm just doing it for fun lah. Like, that's how I redefine and reframe the whole conversation, right? Because now then it goes back to the loop again where you say that you are using the internet platform or using YouTube as a means to an end, which is to earn money or to get fame or whatever it is lah. But maybe I'm just putting things out there just to share and just to have fun. So is that not the whole discussion again? Like, we go back, this is a smaller ecosystem into the bigger discussion.
Yeah, so see what you want lah. If you want success, then you better work hard and in the right direction lah. If you want to just have fun, then continue what you are doing. As long as you are happy, then it's okay lah.
Yeah, I think that kind of ties out the entire episode. Eric and Bunti, got anything else to add?
Yeah, one last thing lah. Okay. So if you listen to the episode this far and you haven't clicked on the like button, you happy can already lah.
And with that, we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, sorry.